Hello computer scientists, this is the third video in our series on how to create a basic game in Scratch to get you started. So we have an apple that drops from the sky, and if you catch it in the basket then you hear a boing sound, and if you miss it then it's game over. So what we want to do though is have more apples coming down, so you have to kind of run around and catch them. And the best way to do this is not to have lots of sprites, but to use something called clones. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to split this out, and instead of going right to the middle of the screen every time, we want it to go somewhere random, right? Wouldn't that be more fun? So luckily, in the operators here, in sort of the math section, instead of always going to x of 0, which is right in the middle of the screen, we're going to go pick a random number from, let's say, negative 100 to 100. So negative 100 is somewhere over here, and positive 100 is somewhere over here. So let's try that and see what happens. So you can see every time I hit the green arrow, it's a little bit different place. It's not always in the middle. We could actually probably even make that bigger. Let's go negative 200 to 200 and see what happens. There we go. Now it's going a little bit all over the screen. You never know where it's going to fall from. So if we put this back, then now we have a little more challenging game. We have to catch it. But again, once we catch it, the game is kind of over. And we don't really want that. So what we want to have happen is we want to use clones of this apple. So when you're creating clones, the first original sprite stays hidden. So I'm going to hide the original sprite as soon as they click the green flag. So when you click that, now the apple's disappeared. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a clone of that apple and make it appear. So I am going to create a clone of myself somewhere between negative 200 and 200. It's going to create a clone of myself. And so when I start as a clone, that's when I do my drop and I try to hit the edge, and the basket tries to catch me. So the only catch here is, instead of stopping this script when the basket catches me, instead of doing that, I'm going to delete this clone. So let me take a second to explain what's going on again. When I click the green flag, it's going to hide the main apple, and that main apple still exists. It's just going to go somewhere random, still hidden, and create a clone of itself. That clone over here is going to go through this loop where it goes down and down and down until it's either touching the sprite or touching the edge. And if it's touching the sprite, then it will be deleted. So if it's touching the basket, it plays the boing sound and deletes itself. If you miss it with the basket, then it says game over and it stops everything. The last thing I have to do is, when I start as a clone, I have to show myself. If I forget this, then I'm going to stay hidden because I hid myself originally. So the main apple, still hidden, but every time I create a new clone, it shows up on the screen. So let's try it. There's an apple. Oh, game over. All right, so let's try to catch some apples. Boing. Boing. All right, so I caught it. But again, there's still only one apple. I want to have lots of apples come down. So what do I need to do? I am going to put this in a loop. So let's just repeat 10 times. pick a random location, and create a clone. Let's try that. All right. Oh my God, they're all coming down at once. I need to somehow only create a clone once every second or every 2 seconds or something. So luckily right in here there's a wait 1 second. Let's make that 3 seconds. And if we want to slow down the apples to make it an easier game, what we can do is instead of changing y by -10 every step, we could make that less. So it only goes down 5 pixels every step. Let's try that. Oh, there we go. Now I can catch things. And what happens if I catch all 10 of them? Ah, well, the game just ended. I should say, congratulations, you win. So if you make it 10 times through this whole loop, that means you've caught 10 clones. We're gonna show the apple, say congratulations, you win, and then we're gonna stop all the scripts. So let's try it one last time. So let's try it one last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Congratulations, you win. And there you have it. The outline for a basic game. What else could you do? You could add a score to see how many apples you've caught. You could make the apples go faster by changing the Y speed over time. You could have more than one apple come at a time. You could make the basket smaller or the apples smaller. So there's a lot of things you can do with this basic program to actually make it into a fun game. I hope this has helped, and I'll see you soon.